welcome back. This is the Poet Is a Human with the Philosopher Dunamis on this week's episode number 55, Fight to Survive. Please be sure to hit that like button on your way in, and if you like us, consider subscribing to keep up with our episodes on YouTube and give us a follow on X.
The Fightcast is here to empower individuals to live healthier, master finances, pursue their dreams, and inspire others through self-awareness and global impact. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only, and not financial advice. Viewer discretion advised. We'll be discussing topics like self-harm and suicide in this episode, which I know can be distressing. Please call the Suicide Prevention Hotline 988 if you need help. Is a human. How you doing this week?
Not too shabby, man. Shout out to the team per usual. They're putting in the work. I can't be any more thankful for that, man. And we just we keep chugging along, right? Just one day at a time, 1 second by second. What's the update with you, man? What's been going on? Let us know.
Well, it's been probably the most difficult week I've had in a long time, and it's entirely my fault. We'll definitely get into that this week. It has been very character building for me this week for sure. And I know I reached out to you earlier. I've reached out to you a few times this week. I think I've probably called you almost every day. And, I really appreciate everything that you do for me as a friend, as a human. And I've had a few other friends that I've had a chance to talk to this week as well. The good news is Fight continues on. There's no plans to sell any tokens. There's no plans to give up. The bad news is I'm still looking at maybe being homeless here in I don't know, a couple weeks. And we could kind of get into what happened, for the audience, of course. They're probably wondering, considering I was talking about basically our plans to have a wedding, today. So it kind of goes back to last Sunday and really even before that. And I had a mental health episode, unlike anything I've had in the last few years. And it really makes me feel like everything that we've talked about in this podcast, man, went right out the window. We've talked about discipline and purpose and community and the way to treat other people. I let a really bad day get to me and blew up everyone around me. And I'm still dealing with the consequences, I guess, the blowback from all of that. For now, the wedding's been, of course, called off, and got into a fight with my fiance, got into a fight with my dad, got into fights with my ex-wife, my sister. After the episode, and we're not going to discuss a lot of details for obvious reasons tonight, but there were a lot of suicidal thoughts and talk around that as well. Sheriffs were called, all of this stuff. It was not good. And so I'm seeing a therapist. I've been off of medication for a while. As we know on this podcast, we've talked about pharmaceuticals and medication and how it's not really something that I'm all that excited about in general, but I've recognized now that it's something that I need to have. I have real problems when it comes to anger and depression. And so that's something that I'm actively seeking help for now. Ultimately, the situation that I'm in is because of the way that I acted. And so, yeah, my life is different. It feels very different than it did last week. And at the same time, I reached out to you, Izzy, because I have kids and I know what it would do to them if something were to happen to me like that, and I can't do that to them. And all that to say, man, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't even know if I don't know I don't know what next week even looks like, man. But I'm you know, the advice that I've been kind of clinging to is that advice I talked to you about that Jordan Peterson gave on suicide, where he said that you could always do it tomorrow. And as silly as that sounds, I've been really just trying to live each day to make it to the next day because I feel like there could be something that changes everything for me. So that's that's what I'm doing. I'm basically just trying to live day to day. And right now, as of the beginning of January, I don't really have plans for a job or a place to live. And Izzy, I've talked to you about going up there and crashing on your couch, man. So um, I've been talking for a while now. What are your thoughts on all this, buddy?
Mi casa, su casa, mi community, your community, our community is this is what we've built, and that's not even, some of the the couch, that's rhetorical for sure, and that's always been interchangeable in that space, and even coming to visit you, so of course that energy is reciprocated naturally, instinctually, and with that being said, you have also highlighted the other aspects of our podcast episodes and the consistency, for example, of the awareness that you have still, even in this state, and that speaks volumes to me, and I feel like that speaks volumes to our audience as well. And being able to still compartmentalize what you have and assess the quote unquote risk and reward. And this is why viewer discretion is advised, because truth be told, I don't even think that was necessarily the right thing to say in that space, just because I can understand if that could be triggering. But what I am saying is the consistency of us being able to have the phone calls. And I even said this to him, audience, that I'm very blessed and I'm very fortunate to have built a relationship with my brothers that we have that open line, that no matter what, and we know, we know. And that's not a lot of people have that. Not a lot of people have that. And that's where you think about causality and you think about the equation of causality is because there is that link and it just becomes way too straight of a road, right? And that's where you need those detours, and I say need. So look up what the word need is. I feel like there's going to be some opposing sides to this, but I don't think that those opposing sides are necessarily ones that I can necessarily subscribe to. Um, Nor can I admit to hypocrisy on Dunamis in the sense of when we talk about destiny and fate and people doing things, and will and kind of like what the Lord intended and whatnot. Because I'm absolutely 110% for certain that we are human and we're not perfect. So I know that we make mistakes. So with that being said in itself, that in the equation is more of a means and more of a weight to put in the truck with a rear wheel drive, keep traction, hit them with the detour, take the right real quick. There might be some, you might have to hit your brakes a little harder. Who knows? You might smack a stop sign, but it's a lot different, right? But nonetheless, man, you've always, throughout episode up to the episode 55, and and y'all, I want to say this real quick, Dunas, and I'll land my plane. But I do want to say this. It took us a little bit to formulate this podcast and to really get to the nitty gritty, the bones of what we wanted to do and how we wanted to establish this, and the persona, but not the persona of somebody that we're fictionalizing, but just who we are and how we can integrate ourselves into one entity, and that being the Fight Cast. So there was a lot of thought and there was a lot of time that went into this. This was a lot of investment of time and a lot of trust that went into this as well. So, with that being said, on top of just that time, money, and trust, brotherhoods do get formed, man. And this has been far beyond any transactional relationship, nor had it been a transactional relationship from the beginning. So, you know, being at this, and I'm saying this, but I'm also like I'm limitless, right? But being at my age of just maturity and experience, and age doesn't even have to be the number, right? Or maturity doesn't have to be with the number, right? But experience, when you build bonds with people like this now, you hold on. You hold on. This is a Loctite anchor, brother. This is a Loctite anchor. These are the big chains. Those are the chains that you see in those like crazy Norway boats, and you hear the oh, and then like they go through like the crazy Arctic Sea. Like, brother, I take that anchor seriously. I take that anchor seriously. And you know what else I know? Everybody around us, including yourself, takes that anchor seriously. So how do you think that anchor weighs? And why wouldn't the ship stop? So yeah, we're gonna take that quick right because we're not going straight right now. We're gonna go ahead and hit that rest area. You know, this is about you. This is about you.
I don't know if I had realized before all this happened how, I mean, this change, everything changed so fast. Everything just completely, it was all very, very, very fast. But in retrospect, when you think about it, I um I really see how I stopped taking care of myself. Um, I stopped really kind of stopped drinking the mushroom coffee. I stopped taking the black seed oil. That I had not really been working out. There's just so many things that I had a lot of discussion today actually with I had a first meeting with a therapist to start to try and put my mental health back together again, brick by brick. I've been off of medication for about a year, and like I said, I probably need to be on it for ADHD as well as depression. But I I just recognize how much of the things that we've talked about have benefited me over the last year. There's so many times where I could have had an episode or I might have had an episode that I know that I didn't. When I say an episode, I mean me acting out and losing control, of my emotions and everything else. And that that had not happened to me in a long time. And it's really embarrassing when something like that happens. Um, in addition to just the aftermath is never good. There's so many of my family members that don't really like to talk to me now, and friends that I used to have that I don't have anymore. And again, I don't mean to take us all really down this sad dark path, but this is sort of that time of year too for a lot of people. It's the dead of winter. I think that finding hope right now for me was about making it to the next day, and we've done that. Like, we've done that for several days now, and I think that we're going to continue to do that. And I think that you know I love you, Izzy. um, I love the Solidity crew and everyone I've known in the Cardano community. And you know it's been an amazing ride, and I want it to continue. I really, really can't give up the fight. I need to. This entire project, man, was so much about I don't know, my own desire to keep going. It's really, this whole thing has always been about my fight to live, you know? And we've had a lot of conversations in the past year that we didn't come out and say a lot of this stuff. You know, it's been in the background, it's veiled. But, you know, I think it's important to, at some point, discuss these things. That's why they come up. I'm not I'm not really looking for anything other than to say that I think there's still hope, and I think that everything's going to be all right. And if you're in this place, if you're in the audience, and this time of year is a dark time of year for you, and I know it is for a lot of people, um, I think things get better. This is going to pass too, you know.
I mentioned to you that we're walking through a storm right now. There's a lot of rain and we don't have umbrellas. And this rain, it's pouring, right? The big fat old rain, as Forrest Gump would say. Shout out to Tom Hanks. And this big old fat rain that's hitting us with the umbrellas that we do not have. It's also a moment of clarity as well, of washing and cleansing and being able to walk through that confidently, knowing that when it's all done and it's all dried up, the sun finally comes out, the clouds, the overcast, the skies are blue, you're dry, you're clean, and I mentioned that to you. What I also want to mention, or what I want to say, is embarrassing. I want to throw that word out the window. It's not embarrassing. I know that may feel like that to you, but to people who care about you and to people who love you and understand that a this has not been a smooth ride for anybody this whole year. Man, look at the people. Look, and I say this in the best way. We are surrounded by some of the most unique people that have some of the most unique experiences. Of course, that's what I have to say to that is, of course. You have to embrace that. We have to embrace our individuality, right? To be able to embrace others. And Dunamis, I I have felt the way that you have felt in a different capacity, and because our circumstances were different, that, kind of led us into like that central point of just feeling like, you know what, man, like this moment right now ain't it. This ain't it. This ain't it. And I had a really good friend of mine. His name is Sri Ram. And I say is in the present tense because I'm not petty. Sri Ram Dravasala. And I remember I was living in Columbus. I was living in Hilliard. And I just went through the worst breakup. And I was like over the hill to this. We're talking about Iron Maiden Run to the Hills. And it was just not good. I make light of it now, but it wasn't the greatest. But Sri Ram came over every day and we went to one of our favorite Greek restaurants. And he would get his lentil soup. I would get my euro. We would get the tiramisu, right? And that was like a routine thing. And we got to that point where our buddy Christian started coming around as well, and we just started to just really get a feel of each other, and then really know each other, and then understand each other, and be there for each other, and bond, and solidify that, right? So just understanding that brotherhood and understanding, like, even from a sports aspect too, of just being able to, like, we win as a team, we lose as a team. And I feel like those things were ingrained in me very early. And now in this life, when you're outside of the football, you're outside of the wrestling, outside of the track, and this is like these are like humans and men that, like, you didn't even know from Adam. You didn't know when you were in high school. You did, bro. I wasn't around when I
Yeah.
wasn't around when when you were in elementary school, y'all. You know,
Nope.
but just in that, but just like, wow, how good is our God, dude? I mean, how good is our God? That, like, in all of these shapes and sizes and ages and experiences, how God can get us here on this ground, and it's even still. And I think that that is the most beautiful thing in the world. And that's why I feel like all of this and those phone calls and our experiences and everything that wired our minds to get up to this point for God to introduce us to be like, hey, I think, or no, God is everything. So God says, hey, you guys are better together. You're better together. You're better together. And then once you guys really figure it out and stop being knuckleheads, then you're going to do this, and then you're going to do this, and you're going to do this. And then if that doesn't happen, then then it becomes a whole kind of rabbit hole web thing, kind of like the distribution web of royalties. But I digress. But I really hope that makes sense, man. And so,
Yeah. I just this this whole idea of surviving is kind of a bleak topic, and I know it's not something that everyone wants to hear right around this time. And I think next week we probably need to have something a little bit more hopeful. And I think we're going to have to wait and see what next week feels like. I think we very often pick these topics based on what we're going through very clearly, and this was an exceptionally hard week, and I think it's mostly because I hurt the person that I love the most in this world, and I'm scared that I hurt her, I scared her, and there's nothing I could do to take it back. I can I can try and get better, and I think that rather than letting the whole thing overwhelm me, I think that the thing that I need to do again is still make it to tomorrow. And I have some Christmas presents to wrap and give away still. And I'm gonna play some football with my boys, I think. And I'm just gonna pray and praise God that I made it another day.
amen, amen. And I'm like this with my songs too, because we got this far and we let the weight unload. I also want to finish the song with some positivity as well. And I want to highlight some of the things that you've done very well. And again, that's be consistent in your communication. And for everybody that is listening currently, the communication is key. And I know that it may feel like in those times that you're going in this rabbit hole and that you're just not, like, you're kind of in the paralysis of like communicating with people, or feeling like you can't communicate with people, or feeling like the people you've been communicating with are like feeling burdened by your stuff, and I understand those things. I do, definitely. But with that being said, that type of awareness is also an awareness that you then need to internalize, and then need to have another conversation with yourself, because this is all internal at the end of the day. And I will say this also, um, you know, this stuff, the things that we feel are not always, well, let me say this. We're a lot harder on ourselves than people are on us. And I think that that's an important thing to highlight, because the things that we feel about ourselves more times than not are not nearly, if at all, what people feel about us. And we have to just take this opportunity and take this time to just be nicer to ourselves and talk nicer to ourselves. And Dunamis, I've said this to you off air as well, and I
Yeah.
always give credit to my guys that you guys are a bunch of freaking geniuses. And we're all just waking up early in the morning doing whatever knows with Mad Hatter, and just getting it all sorted out. And I think that forever that we're aligned, that we'll get this sorted out. And I think that we always do. And I think that as long as we have each other and we keep bonding and or just keep that bond strong. I think people kind of laugh at the word bond, but genuinely, like, what that means, again, I go back to the anchor, I go back to the big links that are in the ships, man. I genuinely believe that that is what we have, and we've established that with sweat equity. And like, this isn't one of those things where we all came in here with a bunch of skin, yo. This was an agreement that, listen, guys, we're going to do a bunch of stuff for free, and we're going to put a lot of our time and effort into this, and we might make it or we might not make it. Are you guys in? And everybody sitting there with the Mad Hatter on the side of their shoulder said, yep, we're in. And to me, that is, wow. That's pirates setting off to sea with a compass that points only north. And that is, man, that's tremendous. And I think about the pirates that I've rolled with over these times, and I think about how much more solid and more precise the compass is now, and our travels, and even being able to understand sea more, and being able to flow more with sea as well. Be like water, as Bruce Lee would said.
Yeah, and this week, we haven't had a chance to talk yet quite so much about the crypto markets and the dumps that we had going on. Cardano was just 35 cents this week. And there's, even if you don't have something personal going on, I mean, there's a lot of people, I think, that are seeing a lot of hurt in their wallets, and what does it mean to try and survive through crypto right now? Before I'm going to lead that question over to you, Izzy, but before you answer it, I just want to kind of say that I personally think that we're in for a fake out one way or the other. I either think we're going to get a rally that's going to fail into a real bear market, or we're going to get a fake out that we're going into a bear market right now and we're about to take off into a bull market. And I really don't know which one it is. So how do you survive this, Izzy?
Man, I'm going to do what I've been doing this entire time, and I'm going to focus on me. I know what we have. I know what we haven't touched, and I'm not going to touch it. It's going to stay there as it's been. And I know that we've got the strategy behind it. And we have positioned ourselves that there's no dependability, on this. And I love the fact that we have been able to expand our investments to get to this point. And no matter what happens, I'm here for the long haul. And I'm looking at this opportunity as, again, no financial advice, as an opportunity for those who were like, man, that buck was a little too high, and look at 35 cents as an opportunity. And I'm an opportunist. An opportunist. Hey, that sounds like a really good word to make up. An opportunist. An opportunist. To say, man, I want to get a real big shovel right now, and I want to scoop it up. Because I feel that there's things coming, and I also genuinely believe that we are a part of that movement as well. And I feel like the better that we do, the more invested people will be in Cardano as a whole, because we are a representative of Cardano when it comes to this. We've been running around with that flag for a few years now, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. We're building, man. We're building. We're honing our niche in this blockchain. Mm-hmm. And we took it by the horns, and we're running with it. We are the music community of Cardano. We're going to be part of the reason people come in here. And then there's going to be the technology aspect of it. There's going to be the open source. It's going to be the resources. It's going to be everything. And it's more than currency. It's more than currency. It's about utility. Never give up the fight.
Hey, and until next week, man, we'll come up with something. We can't give this up. We'll be back for sure. So, Izzy, never give up the fight.
Never.
Try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain. Pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane. Pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test, and Expect nothing less, you check as I'm chess, what's happening next, yeah. He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson, he got a new engine from pain, that's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold and obsession, all in his possession. You got their attention, now leave an impression and take a redemption. Just kill, no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression, oh! You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me. So he's been looking for somebody who could save him, instead of searching inside for what they gave him. A strong will, strong mind causes mayhem. We could change the world, change times, rearrange them. Staying on pace, running the race. Life is a chase, I don't want a place, I wanna be first. Work till it hurts, dehydrated thirst till I'm in a hearse. High ambitions and the right mind can take you so far. It's like you lived a few lifetimes. Take off from a break off from the weak minds, they can stay soft. You can change lives, you create thoughts, never waste time. You got one shot, you got one life, better pop off. What do you like? Make a dream job. No 9-5, no mean boss, just my life and free thoughts. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try to change